Hey, what's up guys, TechTime here, and this is the TCL NXT Paper 60 Pro, and I've been using this phone on and off for the past 5 days. And I actually, before I talk about my full review and things like that, which is already in the works, and even the camera review is in the works, but I do want to share with you guys a couple of tips and tricks that I've learned while using this phone. And a lot of them do involve the display, but some of them actually involve the performance. So hopefully, if you're interested in buying this phone, these tips and tricks can actually help you when making the purchase decision. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, let's not waste any time. Obviously, this is a unique display, this anti-glare display that is really unique in my opinion. I haven't seen something like this in a very long time, but they first introduced this in what's called the TCL NXT Paper 60 Ultra, but they did make some improvements on this version and it's actually cheaper. So the starting price for this device is $199, and you can get it with some carriers for even cheaper, but this is just the MSRP retail price. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is in the settings, and when you go to the display itself, you have a couple of things that you can take advantage of. First of all, you have adaptive brightness, which is found on a lot of phones, but this basically controls if and when you need the higher brightness. So if you're in a high sunlight condition, it will automatically turn up the brightness and turn it down depending on your needs. The other thing is you have light mode and you also have dark mode, which is meant to save battery life. In addition to that, even when you do go to dark mode settings, you have a couple of options. You can turn it on, turn it off depending on the time. So it turns on from sunset to sunrise, or you can set up an automatic schedule where you can decide when it turns on and when it turns off. The other thing is when you go down, you have this reading mode, which can actually be turned on using the button here or the slider. We'll talk about that later on. And you also have what's called Next Vision, and this basically enhances your image. So it shows you how it would look like when it's on or off. I keep it on. Yeah, it consumes a little bit more battery life, but it gives you the full display experience. So you have what's called image enhancements, which basically enhances your image, sharpness and dark details, video enhancement, which enhances the color contrast and the depth of details when it comes to the video. And also you have game enhancement, which basically improves the shadow detail and enhance the overall game graphics. So that's also something to look at. Now, if you want a little bit more advanced, then you can. They do have an option here called color mode and temperature. And in this setting here, you can either keep it as is, keep it the default, or really go crazy. So you can either give the display a warmer tone, a cold tone, or even a custom tone where you can really change the way that the display looks. I like to keep it in default. I trust this phone to give me what I want from this display. The other thing is when it comes to the refresh rate. So in the refresh rate option, you have a couple of things that you can mess with. So you have the 60 Hertz, which will stay at 60 Hertz at all time. You have 120 Hertz, which will give you a more kind of a smoother refresh rate all the time, but keep in mind that this will consume battery life. And you have this what's called smart refresh, which will basically decide when to turn on a higher refresh rate versus a lower refresh rate depending on your usage. Okay, so the next thing that I want to discuss is what's called the NxtPaper zone, and this is very useful. So here is basically what this phone is all about. You have your NxtPaper key, which is again a slider that you can turn on and off, but you have three options. You have what's called a max ink mode, which basically closes most of your apps and allows for 1, a higher battery life, 2, just if you want to use it to read books and save battery, this is the way to go. And you have what's also called ink paper mode that allows access to basically all your apps, but in black and white. And you have this color paper mode that tones down the saturation and gives you this sort of soft color, almost like paper-like display, which we will definitely take a look at all of them. First, the kind of max ink mode. So let's hit enter, hit yes, and gives you this sort of a smooth transition. So as you can see, you don't really get a lot of access to apps. You can add local books or you can purchase books. I'm not sure if Amazon Kindle books are included. We'll talk about that later. But if you look at where it says remaining battery life is approximately 79 hours and 2 minutes. Mind you, this phone is not even 100%. This phone is only at 36%. So imagine what it would look like when it's actually at 100%. However, you still have access to your basic tasks like your phone app, your messages, your contacts. So if you're in a situation where you need a lot of battery and you're really stranded and you want to make calls and you don't really only have like 2 or 3%, this definitely comes in handy. Okay, so let's turn on another option. So we go back to the main display. We turn on the slider again. And you have what's called NxtPaper mode, which is a black and white display. So now you have access to basically all your apps, but in more so black and white. You can actually watch videos in black and white, which is crazy. Not the best experience, but again, if you want to save battery life, this is the way to go. And the other thing is your color display. So if we turn on the slider again, let's go color paper mode. And this basically makes the colors a little bit softer and less saturated, but you still get this kind of cool color effect. Think of it as a launcher or like an extra theme to your phone. They're all really good and unique in their own way. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn it off. Okay, so the next tip and trick that I want to show you guys is when we go back to the settings, and this more so has to do with the performance of the phone. So if you go to your settings and you go to advanced features, and on the first option that you have is what's called Next Turbo and RAM expansions. You click on options, you have the ability to see more about, and this is more so for kind of the heavy users. So you have what's called system acceleration, which basically improves the smoothness of the phone during system overload. You also have what's called app launch engine, which enhances app launch speed. Think of this as like your sort of developer option. And you have also RAM expansion. You can go crazy. You can go up to 16 gigs of RAM. Now, mind you, this will use the storage to kind of expand the RAM there. So that's basically used for more heavy demanding tasks. And it even shows you if your phone is on load or not. So right now we're using 0% GPU, 17% CPU, and we have already used 39% of the memory. Okay, so the next here is the sidebar. So on the sidebar itself, if you press and hold, you have a couple of options. You have writing assist, smart voice memo, real-time subtitles, smart translator, write a note, e-signature, and things like that. These are more so of AI features. You even have your screen recorder all the way at the bottom. And like I say, these are more so of AI features. And you have an option here, just because this phone does come with a, well, it doesn't come with it, but you can purchase a first-party accessory that TCL has made, which is a case accessory. So basically enables the kind of dedicated stylus that TCL has made for this phone. Now, mind you, it does even warn you that when you enable this, it may increase power consumption if you go crazy with the stylus. Okay, so you also have what's called TCL AI, which is your AI features. Like I said, you have smart translator, real-time subtitles, smart voice memo, writing assist, and text assist. Okay, so with that being said, I do want to thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this kind of a tips and tricks videos. If you want to see more of these types of videos, let me know. I'll be more interested in making it on other devices. So with that being said, I hope you found this video useful, and I do want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.